Now here's how they would have done it on paper. For, it's called Sexy Woman. That's the, it's one of the forts, big forts. That's what I'm talking about right now. And here's my theory. First of all, we have ground level. Now these stones right here, say they're 10, 15, 20 feet tall. There's 3 of them. We'll just say there's 3 of them, right? Now, here's the rear and here's the face. Now, if the stones were at a 15-degree angle, or whatever angle that they put them at, okay, they would have to do certain things to do that. Now, if they did have them, and you notice that the front of the stones are flat on the pictures. Okay, suppose that's 15 degrees, right? This is the rear, right here. This is the front. Now, in my opinion, the Incans were predictable. They made these walls just like one of their terraces. As they made the wall and then they put fill in behind it. But they made these a little bit differently because they were a fortress. Now, in order for my rope cutting to work, because that's all they had, they would have had to get in front and behind the stone. Okay? Now, at the fortress, it doesn't show that. It shows a bunch of earth. Because I believe that they cut these stones and then they filled in behind it. All right, now we all know that a lot of the stones have they have a couple of divots in them, the big ones. And they have a kerf underneath that shows on some of them. Okay? Now, I always thought that, well, these kerfs on the front side must have been to put the stone in. You know, it's 20 feet tall, 15 feet. What? Now I'm thinking, nope, these had nothing to do with that. How they put them in, I don't exactly know. But let's go back here again. The way I believe they did it, and of course I'm not there, but they put in their first row of stones, okay? Just say they put in their first row. I'll show you how they cut them. Then they came and backfilled this to level in the back, all right? To put the second stone on, they would have slid it onto the new earth and slid it in place from the back. On the third stone, they would have filled up to this level and slid the third stone on. Now these are the big heavy stones. Now you have to remember that they couldn't do that with all the wall because the wall must have been, of course I don't know, but if they did it with big stones, and you know they only put the little stones on top because they were easier to move. Now, let's go to cutting the stones. And remember, they're on a stone base right here. Okay? I'll say we got this huge stone now. There is a stone like this. This is the front, and these are the divots in it. 15 feet by 20 feet. Now remember, this area up here does not matter. It could be anything. Because what we're going to do is we have to take this stone and lean it at 15 degrees. Okay? In order to do that, we'll take a block right here. We take our water level at one end. Suppose it's 15-foot block, whatever size they want. They will take their water level right here with the 15-degree mark. Make sure they got it at 15 degrees. They take their plumb bob right here, and they hold it at the top of the stone where they want to cut it. And they'll make a line right down there, right where this line is, right here. Okay, that gives them, oh, one thing I forgot. They have to have, before they make their line, what they have to do is have the stone jacked up to 15 degrees. They jack it up until the water level says 15 degrees. And then they cut right here. Okay, now there's a reason for this. Say it's 15 degrees. They could do it 20. I don't know what degrees. But there's a reason for this. The stones have all got to be at 15 degrees. Right? And they're all facing each other. So, what they do is they have this 20-foot stone. Remember, it's cut 15 degrees up here. Say it's cut level down here. This is level. So what they have to do, if they cut this at 15 degrees also, they might have cut too much. See, and it'd be very hard to straighten that back up if they want their degrees the same. So we have they place their stone on the base stone. And you can see the gap right there. Okay? Now, what they do is they wedge this at 15 degrees on the bottom, right here. And then this is the front right here, so it doesn't matter. But if they wedge this 15 degrees with this pre-cut 15 degrees, right here, the top will be level. The top of this stone, it's cut like that, will be sitting like this, level. See how it's level? Okay. Now, you say, why would you do that? Well, let's go back to our little model here. This is just an interesting mystery. Maybe I don't know anything. But here we have our base stone made of the same material. And we have our regular long stone. Now notice the top of the stone. Do you see how we've cut it completely level, but it's irregular? You couldn't put anything on it, and you wouldn't want to put a 100-ton stone on it. Therefore, that's why you cut this first at 15 degrees. Okay, so that when this is sitting level at 15 degrees, that your second, the top will be level instead of looking like this. Now, what they would do, if my theory is correct, is we have, let's look at this in the front, 15 feet, whatever. All right. Now, if you'll notice, the stones will tell us a story if we listen. If you look, and if you know what to look for, you go, oh, that makes sense. All right, now, all the stones have these rings right here. We thought to mount the stone or whatever. I don't think it was to mount the stone. They're all put on the bottom, right here, within about so many inches of the top. And the bottom here is not straight. It's curved in for some reason on all of them. Now my theory is this. Is that the stone was placed on the mounting base. Say they only used 10 degrees, but not 15. But they had to cut it to an even 15. So what they do is they take the rope, okay, this rope thing, making it just a lot bigger, and they cut back and forth, back and forth. They go all the way through, all the way through, all the way through, until the stone sits on the flat base at 15 degrees. Now they'd have to hold it up in the back here. I don't know. I don't know how much 15 degrees. Maybe 15 degrees is right like that. I don't know. I don't know what 15 degrees. Anyway, incline. Let's say incline. All right. But my theory is that if the stone cutting rope were to take off 50% of the top and 50% of the bottom, while this was settling in, since it's not touching this, it's not touching this. But what it's doing is it's taking off stone here and in here. Is that this base stone underneath here will show a divot right in here. A scalloped area where this and this sits. Okay? I don't know what it would look like. But anyway, that would be a telltale sign. Then once they got the stone, say they got the stone at 15 degrees. Say we're looking at it like that. Oh, there you go. Okay, no. Say the stone, they got the stone at 15 degrees where they want it. And our law says that if they start taking off more material on the top and the bottom, then they're going to take 50% off the top, 50% off the bottom. But they will not change the angle of the stone because the angle of the stone has already been set at 15 degrees. Do you see what I'm saying? Now what it looks like underneath this base, I don't know. But what is on this base of those big giant stones at Sexy Woman or Olatombo will tell us a lot. Now, we have the first set of stones set wherever they want them. All right, now they come in like, if you'll notice that the earth is maybe 3 or 4 levels up. Now it could have been there before, but not in my theory. So what they do is they didn't have a stone behind it when they cut it. Okay, I don't know what they had behind it. Maybe they had wood. But here, this is what I want to show you. Every one of these has a dot right here. What if these weren't used for installing the stone? They were used to tip the stone at 15 degrees and hold it there. Okay? What if they were used as a wedge point to wedge it up? Because they're all on the bottom, even on the base stones. Except, if you'll notice very carefully, and this runs into my theory, is that some of the stones have the dot here. Some of the stones have the divots here. And some have the curved edge on the bottom. But a lot of them don't. And some have partial, okay? Now what that shows me is that these curved areas were not used to put the stone in. These were used to balance the stone at 15 degrees so they could cut the bottoms. And like I said, if the stone didn't quite fit right next to the other stone here, now watch. They kept cutting down and going this way. Kept cutting down and going this way. And every time that they cut down, what they were doing is making the stone thinner, but they were also taking the bottom off in equal levels. Now sometimes they had to do more fitting than other stones. Therefore, they took off all this right to here. Some of the stones were cut enough to where they're cutting here and here. They didn't need to cut these out, all right? So I believe that they took the stones, the big ones, they used logs on the front to tip them up. Then they put fill behind here. And they had another level, and then they put their next level and their next level. And of course I don't know how high they went, but they couldn't have done all of them that way. But what's the point of having fortress walls that are 15 feet above your head while you're standing right here? You're not really going to be fighting too well. So maybe the earth did go up a long ways, but they filled it in just like their just like the things at Machu Picchu, the terraces. The trick is, this is what will tell. The base here, here. Now they had to do the same thing here. They might have taken off 10% right here in order to where it wouldn't be that big of an angle. This is really getting interesting. Maybe I'll sell these at Christie's one day if I'm right.